Well, evening everybody. Welcome to the third week of PubQuiz 60 quizzes here during the lockdown from my home office, which isn't being used that much at the moment, obviously. These are quizzes on a Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Standard pub quizzes, 50 questions with a couple of bonus questions as well. The most important thing to remember is it's just for fun, there's no prizes, so please be lenient on me if there's any mistakes either in the questions or perhaps more importantly the answers, and just be fair with your marking and things like that. If you're playing along in teams, it is just for a little bit of fun. As I say, I do these quizzes as well as other quizzes that you can either follow on my YouTube channel or if you follow me on Twitter, there's information about quizzes during the week as well. But that's enough for me, so let's just get on to the quiz proper. Start with a few little instructions just to get yourself familiarised with how it's going to flow this evening. You need a pen and paper because you'll be writing the answers down and marking them yourselves. There's 5 rounds of 10 questions, 1 point per answer, but in each round there is a bonus question that's worth 2 points, so that gives you a maximum of 60 points for the whole quiz. After each round there's a minute for final discussion and final answering that I'll give you as well, because I won't be repeating the questions too much, but leaving a little bit of time during each question, but not too much. You have a minute at the end of each round, to get your 10 answers done. We'll mark the first 3 rounds after the third round, and then there'll be a 5-minute comfort break. Then after the break, we'll have two more rounds after the break, then final marking. Now, live chat, which is currently on, I'm going to switch off, just so people can't put any answers on or anything like that, but I'll leave it on during the 5 minutes. Obviously, do put any comments or anything as well if you're logged on. But as I say, just be nice, be friendly. It is, at the end of the day, just for fun. So let's move on with the quiz proper, if everyone's ready. As I say, 5 rounds, starting with round 1. This week, round 1 is food and drink. First question in food and drink is: Wiener Schnitzel, a national dish of Austria, is what type of meat? Wiener Schnitzel, a national dish of Austria, is what type of meat? So as I say, I'll leave a few seconds after each question, but we'll sort of motor on through quite quickly. It usually takes about 50-55 minutes all in with the break. And like I say, you have got a minute at the end of each round just to go through any answers you might not have got. So write down any notes, etc. as we move on. Question 2 in food and drink is: considered the national dish of Belgium, what is moule frite? The national dish of Belgium, what is moule frite? Give you a couple of seconds more to write that down. And question 3. Which food product has used the slogan "Taste the Rainbow" since 1994? Which food product has used the slogan "Taste the Rainbow" since 1994? It's worth saying at this stage as well, any spellings, or if you are marking other people's paperwork, just be lenient with people to some degree. If someone's got a slight typo, let's not be too harsh on them. Okay, moving on to question 4. Bubble and Squeak is better known as meat, cabbage, and which vegetable? Bubble and Squeak is better known as meat, cabbage, and which vegetable? Again, just a couple of seconds more on that one. Question 5. I ate his liver with some nice fava beans and a nice Chianti is a well-used quote, but how are fava beans better known in the UK? How are fava beans better known in the UK? So if you're not sure of any answers, just write something on your side of your paper and you can come back to it in the minutes thinking time at the end of each round. Now, in each round, there is a bonus question. It always comes after question 5, and there's 2 points for the bonus questions, and they are related in some way to question 5. So this one, food and drink, 2 points for this. What is the name of the actor who played the character who uttered that quote? So the quote from question 5. What's the name of the actor who played the character who uttered that quote? 2 points for that. Back to the 1 point questions though. Question 6 in food and drink is: Snow peas are an edible pod pea which is eaten whole. Which French-derived word is used as the name generally in the UK? Snow peas are edible pod peas which are eaten whole. Which French-derived word is used as the name generally in the UK? Question 7. Mocha is a coffee usually flavoured with which substance? Mocha is a coffee usually flavoured with which substance? So 3 more questions in this round. Next one is question 8. In which country is the wine-making region of the Yarra Valley? Which country is the wine-making region of the Yarra Valley? Two more questions in this round. The penultimate one in food and drink is: what dish has fillet steak coated with pâté and finely chopped mushrooms, which is then wrapped in puff pastry and baked? Which dish? Fillet steak, pâté, mushrooms, puff pastry and baked. Just one more question in the food and drink round, the first round. That is question 10. So for 1 point again, which beer famously has a blue 5-pointed star on its label? Which beer famously has a blue 5-pointed star on its label? A couple of seconds for that one. So, as I say at the end of each round, we'll have a minute for you just to sort of talk amongst yourself, finalise any answers you weren't sure of before we move on to the next round. So I'll just put a minute on the clock now. Okay, so that's that minute over. Some of you might not have needed it, might have got the 10 questions right, but might have been time to go and grab a cup of tea or let the dog out. But just a reminder, there is a proper 5-minute break after the third round if you need to do anything like that. So we'll move straight on with round 2. This week it's TV and film. First question in TV and film is: which 2004 animated film is the story of a family of undercover superheroes living quietly in the suburbs who are forced into action to save the world? 2004 film, undercover superheroes forced into save the world, an animated film. As ever, there's a minute at the end of this round as well. So we'll move on quite quickly on to question 2. Which actor played Alfred the butler in the 2008 Batman film The Dark Knight? Who played Alfred the butler in the film The Dark Knight? And we'll go on to question 3. Which comedian is best known for his Good News show and his appearances on Mock the Week? Which comedian is best known for his Good News show and his appearances on Mock the Week? go on to question 4, which is, born Lee Gordon MacKillop, which British comedian appears on the BBC's Would I Lie to You and Not Going Out? Born Lee Gordon MacKillop, which British comedian appears on the BBC's Would I Lie to You and Not Going Out? Halfway through the round, we'll come to question 5. Question 5 is, which film is set in a mental institution and has the characters Nurse Ratched, R.P. McMurphy and Chief Bromden? Which film is set in a mental institution has the characters Nurse Ratched, R.P. McMurphy and Chief Bromden? Again, if you're not sure about the answers at the moment, make a little note. You come back to them in that minute at the end, the thinking minute. And the next question is the bonus question related to question 5. 2 points for this one, should you get it right. And the question for the TV and film round is, what year was this film first released? So the film we're talking about in question 5, what year was it first released? And we'll go back on to the single point questions. Question 6 in TV and film. Which Scottish children's TV duo often said Fan Dabby Dozy? Which Scottish children's TV duo often said Fan Dabby Dozy? Again, spellings on this, we're going to be slightly lenient. That helps as a clue. But we'll move on to question 7, which is, which film stars Jean Reno and Natalie Portman about an assassin who reluctantly takes in a 12-year-old orphan girl who becomes his protégée? Which film stars Jean Reno and Natalie Portman about an assassin who reluctantly takes in a 12-year-old orphan girl who becomes his protégée? Couple more seconds on this one. And then we'll go on to question 8. Which British author wrote the classic book of the same name on which the 2020 film Emma, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, is based? Which British author wrote the book of the same name on which the 2020 film Emma, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, is based? Moving on to the penultimate one in TV and film. And it is, what is the name of the family who own and live in Downton Abbey? What is the name of the family who own and live in Downton Abbey? Moving on to the last question in TV and film, which is, in which 1998 film does Robin Williams say, "Carpe diem, seize the day, boys, make your lives extraordinary"? In which 1998 film does Robin Williams say, "Carpe diem, seize the day, boys, make your lives extraordinary"? So that ends the TV and film round. We'll now have a minute again just to finalise any answers that you might not have got straight away. And then we're back into round 3 in a minute's time. And then after that, we'll have a minute before we mark the first 3 rounds. But a minute on the clock. Okay, so back into the quiz proper, and we'll come on to round 3, which is alphabet. Alphabet, straight into the quiz. Question 1. Beginning with B, what kind of apes occupy the Rock of Gibraltar? What kind of apes occupy the Rock of Gibraltar? All these questions will have the initial letter as a clue at the start. On to question 2, which is the letter K. Which chess piece cannot move in a straight line? Which chess piece cannot move in a straight line? Beginning with K. Straight on to question 3, which begins with the letter F. Who played the role of Barbara in The Good Life? Who played the role of Barbara in The Good Life? And it's her Christian name that begins with. And straight on to question 4. Beginning with letter J. Oliver Tambo Airport serves which city? Oliver Tambo Airport serves which city? Beginning with J. On to question 5. Beginning with M. By what name is Mark McLaughlin of Wet 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 fame better known as? By what name is Mark McLaughlin of Wet 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 better known as? And at the end of this round, there'll be a minute just to get the questions and the answers more so for this round sorted. And then we'll mark all 3 rounds before we have a break. So moving on to the bonus question for round 3, which relates to question 5. 2 points again for this one. What was Wet Wet Wet's biggest selling single? It spent 15 weeks at number 1. What was Wet Wet Wet's biggest selling single? It spent 15 weeks at number 1. Back to the single point questions. Question 6 in the alphabet round. P. Which chemical element is derived from the Greek for light bearing? Which chemical element is derived from the Greek for light bearing? And on to question 7 in the alphabet round. Beginning with X. Which pop group's first album was called White Music in 1978? Which pop group's first album was called White Music in 1978? A few more seconds on that. Question 8 in the alphabet round is letter O. Who is Popeye's girlfriend? Who is Popeye's girlfriend? So the penultimate question in alphabet is Z. What is the Spanish word for fox and the name of a film and TV masked swordsman? Spanish word for fox and the name of a film and TV masked swordsman. And we come on to the last question in the alphabet round, and the last question before we have a marking session. C. Question 10. C. What is the surname of the author of Patriot Games? Surname of the author of Patriot Games. So that ends the alphabet round. We'll give a minute now just to finalise any answers for that one and the first two rounds, if there was still any you're not sure on that, and then we'll go into marking rounds 1, 2 and 3. But a minute on the clock starting now. Okay, so that's the minute over just to check the food and drink round or any of the first two rounds, which we'll now go through and quickly mark. I'll be reading out the answers. You won't see them on screen, so listen in as we go through the questions and we'll mark them off. Start with the food and drink round. Question 1 was Wiener Schnitzel is what type of meat? It is veal. Wiener Schnitzel is veal. Question 2, the national dish of Belgium, what is moule frite? That is mussels and chips or mussels and fries. Question 3 in this round. What food product has used the slogan Taste the Rainbow? It is Skittles. Skittles, Taste the Rainbow, which apparently have been vegan since 2009, if anyone's interested. Question 4. Bubble and squeak is better known as meat, cabbage, and which vegetable? That is potato. Potato for question 4. Question 5. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. What are fava beans? They're better known as broad beans. Broad beans. The bonus question in this round, which is worth 2 points if you got it right. What was the name of the actor who played the character who uttered that line? Well, it's from The Silence of the Lambs, and it was Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins. Back to the single pointers. Question 6 in food and drink. Snow peas are edible pod peas. What's the French word to describe them? That is mange-tout, mange-tout, which apparently can be one word or two. So again, leniency on spellings. If someone thinks they know the answer, then it's probably worth a point. Question 7 in this round. Mocha is a coffee flavoured with which substance? That substance is chocolate. Question 8. In which country is the winemaking region of the Yarra Valley? That is in Australia. Australia, the Yarra Valley. Australia is the 6th biggest producer of wine currently. Italy, top of the pile. Question 9. Which dish? Fillet steak, pate, mushrooms wrapped in puff pastry. That is a beef Wellington. Beef Wellington. And the last question in food and drink. Which beer famously has a blue 5-pointed star on its label? That's Newcastle Brown Ale. Newcastle Brown Ale. Although except Newcastle Brown, I didn't know this, but in 2000 it changed its name just to Newcastle Brown because ale seemed a bit old-fashioned in their words. So there's a possible 12 points in that round as well. So if you've marked that, we'll go into round 2's marking as well, the TV and film round. Which 2004 animated film is a family of undercover superheroes who quietly live in the suburbs? That was The Incredibles. The Incredibles film took $630 million at the box office. Question 2, TV film. Who was the butler in The Dark Knight? So the actor was Michael Caine. Michael Caine played the butler. Question 3, which comedian is best known for his Good News Show and appearances in Mock the Week? That is Russell Howard. Russell Howard, who's 40 years old. Good on him. Question 4, which comedian was born Lee Gordon McKillop? Is in Would I Lie to You and Not Going Out? That is Lee Mack. Lee Mack. Question 5. Which film set in a mental institution has Nurse Ratched, R.P. McMurphy and Chief Bromden? That was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The bonus question for that round was a 2.1. What year was this film first released? It was in 1975. 1975. 2 points if you got that. But back to the single pointers. Question 6. Which Scottish children's TV duo said Fandabby-Dozy? That is the Crankies. That's the Crankies. They're 72 and 73 years old, the two of them. Question 7. What was the film that's about an assassin who reluctantly takes in a 12-year-old orphan girl? That's Leon. Leon. It's Portman's film debut. Question 8. Which British author wrote Emma, which was the 2020 film starring Anna Taylor-Joy is based? That was Jane Austen. She died when she was 41. She died 41 years old. Question 9. What is the name of the family who own and live in Downton Abbey? They are the Crawleys. The family name is the Crawleys. Question 10 was, in which film does Robin Williams say Carpe Diem, seize the day, boys, and make your lives extraordinary? That was Dead Poets Society. Dead Poets Society. So we'll mark one more round, the alphabet round, before we have a quick 5-minute break. So straight into alphabet. First one was letter B. What apes occupied the Rock of Gibraltar? They are Barbary apes. Barbary apes. And there's about 230 of them on the rock currently. Question 2, letter K. Which chess piece cannot move in a straight line? That is the knight. The knight. Question 3, F. Who played the role of Barbara in The Good Life? That is Felicity Kendall. Felicity Kendall. 73 years old, the same age as the Crankies. Question 4. J. Which city is served by Oliver Tambo Airport? That is Johannesburg. Johannesburg, again, if spellings are slightly off or slightly awry, if you know what they meant, there's a point for that. Johannesburg, 6 million in population. Question 5. Mark McLaughlin of Wet 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 is better known as Marty Pello. Marty Pello, that's Marty with an I, but again, let's have some leniency if someone's put Y. The bonus question for 2 points related to that was, what was Wet Wet Wet's biggest selling single? It spent 15 weeks at number 1, and that was Love Is All Around. Love Is All Around. Question 6 in the alphabet round, letter P. Which chemical element is derived from the Greek for light bearing? That is phosphorus. Phosphorus. So also the chemical letter P, and element number 15. Next question was, which pop stars group's first album was called White Music in 1978? The letter X, that was XTC. XTC, first album 1978. They split in 2006. Question 8 in the alphabet round, begin with O. Who is Popeye's girlfriend? That is Olive Oil. Olive Oil. Who apparently had a brother as well called Castor Oil. Seriously, I didn't even know that, but that's apparently true. Castor oil. But the answer we're looking for was olive oil. Question 9 in this round, beginning with Z. What is the Spanish word for fox and the name of a TV swordsman? That is Zorro. The answer there is Zorro. And the last question, beginning with C. What is the name of the author of Patriot Games? That was Clancy. The author was Tom Clancy. So the surname, Clancy. So that concludes the first 3 rounds. So you could have had 36 points there in total. So we're going to have a 5-minute break now. You need to go and grab yourself a drink, have a little comfort break, let the dog out, whatever you need to do. I'll put a 5-minute timer on. I'll also put the live chat back on as well if anyone wants to put down currently, or brave enough to put currently, what score they have. 36 points is the total, or maximum you could have had for those. There are a further 2 rounds of 24 to try and catch up given the 60. But I'll put 5 minutes on the clock now, and I'll see you in a tick. Okay, so everyone, so that's a 5 minute break over. Goes quite quickly. So we've got 2 more rounds to go. A minute at the end of each round for checking the answers, and then we'll mark the final 2 rounds to see what scores people have got. Switch off the live chat. I'll switch it on at the end again if anyone's got any extra comments about years that I've typed in wrong, or any questions that might need changing, or whatever scores you got. That'd be absolutely brilliant. But we'll go straight on with round 4, which this week is World Geography. First question in this round is: by what other name in the UK is Holy Island also known? By what other name in the UK is Holy Island also known? Again, a few seconds for each question, a minute at the end of the round just to finalise your answers. Question 2. Which ocean covers more than a third of the Earth's surface? Which ocean covers more than a third of the Earth's surface? And question 3 in geography. Name 3 of the 4 presidents that are carved into the face of Mount Rushmore. So there's 4 presidents carved in the face of Mount Rushmore. You can name 3 of them for a point. No half points. 3 of the presidents for a point. And no bonus if you get all 4 either. On to question 4. In which country is the spa town of Spa, from where the term spa originates? Which country is the spa town of Spa, from where the term spa originates? Question 5. In which US national park is the geyser Old Faithful? In which US national park is the geyser Old Faithful? And again, in these last 2 rounds, there's a bonus question after question 5 that'll be worth 2 points and relates in some way to question 5. And the bonus question in World Geography for 2 points is: what state of the USA is this park in? I'll say predominantly. It's 97% in one state with a slight overspill, but what state of the USA is this park in? 2 points if you get that one. And back to the single point questions. Question 6. In which country is the ancient city of Machu Picchu? Which country is the ancient city of Machu Picchu in? Apologies for any pronunciation that's wrong there. And going on to question 7. To which country do the Faroe Islands belong? To which country do the Faroe Islands belong? And if you're not sure, just make a note. You can come back to that in the minute thinking time at the end. But we'll go on to question 8, which is: on how many hills is Rome built? How many hills is Rome built on? Question 9. In which hemisphere is the Tropic of Cancer? In which hemisphere is the Tropic of Cancer? Choice of 2 there. we'll move on to question 10, or we have a minute's time at the end of the round. Hamilton is the capital of which island in the North Atlantic Ocean? Hamilton is the capital of which island in the North Atlantic Ocean? So that's the end of the geography questions. I'll just give you a minute on the clock now just to finalise any answers on that. Then we'll have one more round before we see what final scores are. But a minute on the clock starting now. Okay, so that's that minute over for a little bit of thinking time there. Now we're coming to the last round, round 5, which as ever is general knowledge. So 10 more questions in the quiz, and then we'll have a minute before we do final marking. So first one in general knowledge is, what part of the body would a rhinologist be interested in? What part of the body would a rhinologist be interested in? Moving on to question 2, which is, in which city did 2 bombs explode, killing 3 people, near the finish line of its marathon race in 2013? Which city did 2 bombs explode near the finish line of its marathon race in 2013? Question 3. Liam Neeson and George Peppard played which character in the A-Team? They both played the same character in different eras. Which character did they play in the A-Team? Straight on to question 4. Who sang with Elton John on Don't Go Breaking My Heart? Who sang with Elton John on Don't Go Breaking My Heart? Question 5, halfway through the general knowledge round. With what style of hat do you associate the comedian Tommy Cooper? What style of hat do you associate the comedian Tommy Cooper? And again, we'll have a bonus question next that relates to question 5, a 2-point bonus question. And for general knowledge, it is, what year did Tommy Cooper die? What year did Tommy Cooper die? Worth a guess, worth an intelligent guess. There will be another minute at the end of this round anyway before final marking, so I'll move on to another question 6, single pointers again. Which animal's English name means earth pig in Afrikaans? Which animal's English name means earth pig in Afrikaans? Again, on this, spelling not that important. It is just for fun. Question 7. Which horror film used Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells as its theme? Which horror film used Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells as its theme? Just 3 questions to go in this round and the quiz as a whole. Question 8. Born on the 5th of May 1818, who was known as the father of communism? Born in 1818, who was known as the father of communism? Just 2 more questions to go. Question 9 in general knowledge is: red iron oxide is more commonly known as what? Red iron oxide is more commonly known as what? And the final question in the quiz is: how would you write the number 7 in binary code? How would you write the number 7 in binary code? A little bit of working out time for that one. So that concludes the general knowledge round. Again, we'll just leave a minute on the clock just to finalise any answers on this or the previous round before we mark those two to see what final scores are. So I'll leave a minute on the clock starting now. Okay, so that's the final minute over to go through those last 2 rounds, make sure you got the right answers, and then we'll go into marking those now. As before, I'm not going to show them on screen, I'll just be reading them out, so mark them as you go along. Remember, if there's any spellings or things we might be unsure, let's have a bit of leniency and see how we get on. So the first round we're looking at marking here is round 4, that was geography. By what other name in the UK is Holy Island known? That is Lindisfarne. Lindisfarne. Which dates back to 600 AD, apparently. Question 2 was: which ocean covers more than a third of the Earth's surface? That is the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean. Question 3: name 3 of the 4 presidents that are carved into the face of Mount Rushmore. You could have had Washington, Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, or Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson. So any 3 of those 4: Washington, Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson. 3 gets you a point. Anything less, no half points, no bonus for all 4. Question 4: in which country is the spa town of Spa, where the name or the term spa comes from? That is in Belgium. It's in Belgium. Question 5: in which US national park is the Giza Old Faithful? That is in Yellowstone National Park. In Yellowstone National Park, which gets 4 million visitors a year, although not so many at the moment. The bonus question on that: what state is Yellowstone National Park in? It's in Wyoming. Wyoming. As I say, 96, 97% of it's in Wyoming. It's a small percentage, no points for that, but if you knew it, it's in Montana and Idaho as well. There's a little overspill to Montana or Idaho. Question 6, back to the 1-pointers, was in which country is the ancient city of Machu Picchu? That is in Peru. That's in Peru. Question 7, which country do the Faroe Islands belong to? They belong to Denmark. Question 8, how many hills is Rome built on? It's built on 7 hills, the 7 hills of Rome. Question 9, in which hemisphere is the Tropic of Cancer? It is in the Northern Hemisphere. Northern Hemisphere. Question 10, the last one on geography, was Hamilton is the capital of which island in the North Atlantic? It is Bermuda. Hamilton is the capital of Bermuda, with just 70,000 inhabitants. Now, the last round, as ever, is general knowledge. The first question in that was, what part of the body would a rhinologist be interested in? That is the nose. They'd be interested in the nose. Question 2, which city did 2 bombs go off at their marathon in 2013 near the finish line? That was in Boston, the Boston Marathon. Question 3, Liam Neeson and George Peppard have both played in the A-Team. Hannibal Smith, Colonel John Hannibal Smith. Hannibal Smith would do, or John Smith, Colonel John Smith, whatever combination you want. If someone's roughly got the answer, points for that. Question 4, who sang with Elton John on Don't Go Breaking My Heart? That was Kiki Dee. Kiki Dee, whose name sounds much better than a real name, which is Pauline Matthews. Question 5 in this round, what style of hat do you associate with Tommy Cooper? That was the Fez. It's the Fez, named after the Moroccan city. And bonus question for 2 points in this round. What year did Tommy Cooper die? A while back, it was 1984. 1984 he died. Question 6, back to the single point questions. Which animal's English name means earth pig in Afrikaans? That is the aardvark. Aardvark, with double A at the start. Again, let's be lenient on spellings. Question 7, which horror film used Tubular Bells in its theme? That was The Exorcist. The Exorcist, which was released in 1973, but wasn't available to get on home video until 1999. Question 8, born on May 1818, who was known as the father of communism? That was Karl Marx. Karl Marx, the father of communism, who's buried in Highgate Cemetery in London. 2 questions ago, red iron oxide is more commonly known as what? That's just known as rust. Red iron oxide, more commonly known as rust. And then the final question, how would you write the number 7 in binary code? That is 111. You'd write it as 111. 4 plus 2 plus 1. Binary equals 7. So that's all the questions there. So I'll put the live chat back on now. There's a total of 60 points you could have got there. If you want to put any comments on, I'll just re-enable that as we speak. Any score over 40, if it's the previous few weeks, anything to go by, is a good score. Anything over 45 is a superb score. But feel free to put any comments on there and let me know how you've got on. Obviously, there's been a couple of typos and things like that. As I say, I'm only human. I'm only doing this for fun, so I hope that didn't disturb or ruin the enjoyment too much. But I'll be doing these quizzes the next few weeks. If you want to follow me on my YouTube channel or Twitter, it's all there. Subscribe and get little notifications. But that's all been good fun. Put your comments in. I'll have a little look now. I'll leave the live chat up for a while. I'll also leave the answers up for a while as well in a grid form, just in case you missed any, just to make sure. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.